Hi, welcome to Get Moving with Tony. Picture this. You decided you want to sell your home. You have a couple realtors over, they give you a presentation and they give you an idea of market price. So maybe they give you a dollar amount, possibly they give you a range and let you pick from that range. You guys have a little discussion back and forth. You determine who you want to go with and you pick from that, range or that price that they give you. Well, guess what? If that's all they gave you, then you are missing some critical information that's going to impact the sales process of your home and may leave some money on the table. So what I want to talk about in this video is those things that we have to look at in addition to that market value, that market price for your home. So let's see if we can save you some money. First, going over the buyer behavior at the certain price ranges. So I can go into the MLS, I can identify the buyer group at a high level based on the type of finance they used and see how it impacted the eventual sales price of the property. And that can be by a lower price, that can be by seller concessions, and that can also be by time to close. This is data that changes constantly. So it is not a snapshot. A snapshot on one day does not apply to the entire year. So in the spring, it might be totally different than in the winter. So that's another piece of information that we have to look at in addition to coming up with a market value and determining a list price. In addition to the market price, your real estate professional should be familiar enough with the market to determine how firm you can be at that price. And when I say how firm, for example, if an offer comes in less than the price that you're asking, can we stand firm there? Are we confident that we have the buyer pool, the current buyer pool, to support that price? If you get an offer and it's asking for repairs, how firm can you stand and say, no, I'm not willing to do those repairs? And then you also have to know the fine line, kind of when you need to be more flexible in order to save a deal. Secondly, we have to be aware of the fact that you are not competing against every other house in that county. You are competing against a relatively small group of homes that your potential buyers have most recently viewed. Okay, so we can look at certain aspects. Is it in a desirable school district? Maybe they're just looking for homes with 4 bedrooms that go to this school district. Are you in a neighborhood that has a lot of amenities? Are you on the waterfront? So we can kind of extrapolate and come up with some hypothesis of that group of buyers and which homes they're actually looking at and what we need to do to compete against those specific homes. Again, we're not going to try to chase and make your home better than every single home in Onslow County because people don't generally shop that way. They don't generally look for a home anywhere in a broad county like Onslow. Lastly, we have to take in consideration that right now buyers are reacting more strongly to the condition of your home. So if you remember back to the time where interest rates were 2%, 3%, people were overlooking things like bad carpet, remodeling that hadn't been done, maybe some minor repairs that needed to happen. They could overlook that because they knew they were going to have a lower monthly payment. Well, now with interest rates somewhere, 6, 7%, I would say 5 to 7%. Those are not historically outrageous interest rates. They're just high compared to the extremely low rates that people still remember. Buyers now are reacting more strongly to the condition of your home. So if you have not replaced the carpet, if you have not painted the walls, I'm not going to say you have to go out and do it, but just keep in mind when the buyer looks at it, what they look and in their head, they start adding up numbers. Okay. They $10,000 for this, $6,000 for that. And they're less likely to pay, kind of a higher price than people did a few years ago for something in that condition. Okay. Now, does it mean that you have to run out and buy all new carpet and all that? Although that might be a good idea for your home. It really depends on the market, the neighborhood, your home. I mean, I cannot give you a broad answer. to whether you should do that or not. That really is very custom to your situation. But just be aware, people are paying more, they expect better. Okay, they want to come home and they want to feel like they're getting their money's worth, and they're just going to react more to the finer points of the condition of your home. So to just kind of summarize, we have to be aware of our buyer pool. Who are our buyers? Who are our current buyers, and how are they currently behaving? We have to be aware that you are only competing with a small group of homes, those group of homes that also appealed to your buyer pool. And we have to be aware of the importance of condition right now, the condition of your home and how that impacts. But because all of those things, if your home, let's say, is not in great condition, are you going to be able to stand firm on your price? Maybe not. So that's something that kind of impacts that ability to kind of stand firm at that original price that you come up with. And the whole thing is very custom, okay? Nobody can give you an answer that pertains exactly the same to every home, to every situation. So that's why it's important to have a consultation. If you're looking to move, if you're thinking about it and you want to have a talk about the value of your home, the situation, the current situation, the buyer pool right now, give me a call, no obligation, and let's talk it over and see if this is a good time for you to sell or not, because it's not necessarily always a good time to sell. Stay tuned for my next video. We're going to talk about how relying on just comps or comparables in your area may help you lose money, that there's a piece that's missing there and you can't just go off of comps. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Have a great day.